Hello, my name's Simon. This is a Yin Yoga practice. We're going to get started straight away. So the first thing I want you to do is lie down. Make sure that what we do in this practice doesn't hurt. It must never hurt. Try to stay away from sensation that's too strong. Stay a little back from what we call the edge. A little back from maximum. Let's begin by bringing one knee into the body. Grab hold of that knee with both hands. Breathe a normal breath. You don't need to try and synchronize your breathing with any of the movements. Just breathe naturally. Try if you can to breathe through the nose. Never hold the breath. Okay, switch knees. Now the thing that distinguishes a yin practice from other practices is that we hold postures for a little bit longer in yin yoga. Once we've gotten through these first few initial postures, we're going to hold the rest of them for a number of minutes. And I have a timer just nearby, and I'll use that to try and be consistent on the two sides of a posture if there are two sides to do. Now both knees together. Once you've got both knees, just a little gentle swaying, rocking movement. Feels really nice across the lower back. And then bring your feet down. Let's rest one ankle on the other knee. It could be that you stay here. It could be that you reach around and grab hold of the other leg. Could be that the hands go even further than that and hold on to the front of the knee or shin. That's already three options for the same posture, and there are always options. Fourth option, you don't actually even have to do the posture at all. Just relax and either choose an alternative or stand Shavasana if you wanted. So let's go back to what we were doing, which is often referred to as the eye of the needle. Threading the needle, sometimes it's called. Nice stretch across these muscles here. Now, like I say, these initial postures are not quite as long in terms of holding time. So now let's switch. We'll bring the other foot onto the opposite knee and try and be consistent. Do what you did on the first side. Choose the shape that works best for you. Now the timing is not an exact science. I might take longer starting my timer. I may choose to come out something a little bit earlier. If you need to stop a posture earlier, please do. You can either rest a little while and come back into the practice, or come back into the same posture if you wanted to. And of course you have the power of the stop or pause button, so you can take this at your own pace. It's your practice. I'm just giving you a guideline. Now the first longer hold we're going to do is a twist, so I want you to just release that. I'm actually going to start the timer. Just pull this over here so I can operate a little bit more. Oops, forgive me. There. Now, the first posture that we're going to hold for a little while is a twist. So I want you to bend one knee. Doesn't matter which one, you can always choose the side that you start with. It's okay to shift the hip over a little bit, and then we twist that knee in the opposite direction. Just let it roll over nice and gently. This is a twist for our spine. The hand that's resting on the knee is not trying to force that knee to the ground. It's not pushing or hurting anything. Other arm, perhaps it just stretches out along the ground. I'm quite close to a wall, so I'm just going to take the elbow out to the side. Perhaps you turn the head, perhaps you look up. And whatever you're doing, whichever way feels best and most comfortable, just closing the eyes. Now we're going to hold this. This is our first longer hold, our yin hold. Yin being ground level postures usually. Sitting and lying down, so we're not doing anything standing today. No warriors, no balances, no sun salutations. It's all ground level or postures held for longer periods of time. So a lovely practice. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And some of the time I might talk, some of the time I'm going to be quiet. Let's just enjoy this long hold. hold a posture, you will find your body just settles and sinks into it, and perhaps the posture deepens, perhaps it goes a little bit further. Any adjustments that you might need to make, that's fine. We're going to start to come out of that side, just carefully, slowly bringing that knee back up, coming back into the center. Maybe stretch the legs out. Perhaps you feel more inclined to hug the knees in. Both those options are fine. And then when you're ready to, we're going to go the other way. I'm just going to use the opportunity to reset that timer. And then we do the other side. So opposite leg, maybe you can shift the hips over just slightly and just let that knee go over. My goodness, that feels nice. Now, you may or may not have heard that, but I got a really nice click in my back. So there's actually a sound that sometimes accompanies the opening of a joint, and it usually feels really nice. I have never, in all the years I've been teaching, known that clicking sound or sensation accompanied with pain. So don't be worried about those kinds of sounds. They're the joints releasing. Remember the basic rule of our practice, that nothing should hurt. So if something feels too strong, too intense, ease off a little bit. Sometimes you will hear the timer as it reaches the time. Sometimes I'll get to it just beforehand. Slowly bringing that knee back up. And then just coming all the way back. Our next posture is a forward bend. Knees bent, feet and legs as close together as you can, although you can have them apart for comfort. See if you can wrap the arms underneath the thighs. You don't have to grasp anything in particular, you don't have to hold the other arm, whatever works. Hold the wrist, hold the thighs, and I wouldn't look too downwards with the head. I'd actually look towards the feet and then just close the eyes. Now this is quite a powerful stretch on the lower back. Make sure it doesn't hurt. It's not about force, it's not about pulling. It's about releasing the body forwards here. As you hold it, you might experiment with shuffling the feet a little bit further forwards, bringing the body a little bit further into it. But as long as you're getting sensation, then that's what we're after. It is about what you feel in a posture. It's not about how far you go in a posture that counts. If you feel more inclined to bring the hands somewhere on the legs, still with the knees bent, that is fine. So maybe you're holding the feet, maybe you're holding the ankles. I'm actually going to cut my fingers around the bottom of the feet, not to pull, not to force. I'm going to take my feet slightly apart, that feels quite nice as well. So either or, arms underneath, or maybe with the hands resting somewhere on the legs or the feet. From here, slowly, carefully, let's just make our way up. And I want you to lie down, first of all. Just hug the knees in against the body. Gently rock, and then stretch the legs out along the floor. Just observe for a few moments, just see how this feels. If you get an after effect from that forward bend, because forward bends are quite strong in the joints of the spine, then the solution to that is to actually hug the knees back in again. Yeah? Just hug the knees, hold on to the knees for as long as you want. You'll know what I mean if you feel it. It's just like a tightness or a twinge in the lower back. It's not pain, it's just a response of the joints opening up and the body moving forwards. But the best way to get over that is to just hold the knees for a little longer, which opens the joints for that a little bit longer. So just hold the knees into the body for a few more moments. If you don't feel that twinge, not everybody does, then just enjoy stretching the legs out in Shavasana for a few moments instead. Once your back feels okay, we stretch the legs out and we're ready to move on to our next posture. Now, our next posture is actually a sequence of 3 different movements. I'm going to do them together. So the first of the 3 is a very straightforward lunge. So we're going to have one foot forwards, the other knee resting on something that's comfortable. I'm going to have my knee on the floor, but if you need a cushion, a yoga block, Something where you feel comfortable holding on like so. So it's a bit of a balance. There's not a lot of balance in Yin Yoga, but this one, just see if you can focus your eyes on something straight ahead just to keep your balance. We're feeling this in the front of the back thigh. If that doesn't work, if balance is an issue for you, you can in fact have the hands on the floor as long as you still feel it. I think that's not quite so strong on the front of the thigh. We're after a sensation here on the front of the back leg. So I'm going to keep my hands up here, but if you need to, then have the hands on the floor. Now what we're going to do with these is probably hold each of the initial postures for about a minute and then hold the final one for a little bit longer. Now the final posture is actually the split. A split is simply taking the feet as wide apart as you can. We all have an image of what a split is supposed to look like. You don't have to be in a full split. You go as far as you can without it hurting, without it causing you any kind of discomfort. Try and stay a little bit back from edge. Look for pleasant sensation, avoid unpleasant sensation. Now the second stage of this is bringing the hands down to the ground and just shifting your weight backwards and away from the front heel, so that now you're actually feeling the sensation on the back of the other leg. Yeah. Notice my knee is bent so that I can reach the ground with either my hands or my fingertips. You don't have to have the front leg straight in order to feel this. So in essence, we're stretching the front of one leg and the back of the other. And then the split is putting those two elements together. So from there, go back into the lunge, lift the front foot to start the process. Just lift that front foot slightly further forwards. But even now, because the ankle is ahead of the knee, it is a split as opposed to a lunge. Try to use the back foot to go the rest of the way. Now by that, what I mean is, tuck the toes and lift the knee, and just place it a little bit further on your mat, a bit further backwards on your mat. Tuck the toes again, lift the knee another step further back, and find the place where you can just hold this for a little bit. You've got a bit of sensation on the front of one leg and a bit of sensation on the back of the other. You're not putting too much weight into this, you're not bearing down on the hands, you're not trying to force or push, you're just finding the split shape that works for you. And we're simply going to hold this for a little bit longer. I'm not strictly timing this one. Close your eyes and enjoy it. This is a posture that the more you practice, the easier it gets, the more you will miss it when you don't do it for a while. In Sanskrit, the split is called Hanumanasana. Enjoy. Okay, now today we're going to come out of this now, so you're going to tuck the toes. You do the same thing in reverse, you reverse the process. So tuck the toes to the back, lift the knee, place it a little bit further forwards. Try and do that as opposed to hopping. So each time you shuffle, you've got to bring the knee down for each step. Tuck the toes, come a little bit closer, and then eventually you will be close enough that you can switch sides, okay? And then we're going to do the other leg. So first of all, the lunge. So one knee forwards, other leg is either on the ground or resting on an object that feels nice. And then just hold this for a little bit. This is now stretching the muscle on the front of the other thigh. So we're going to do exactly the same sequence. The lunge, front of one leg, hamstring, back of the other leg, and then the two things together in a split. As I say, this one I'm not strictly timing, but probably about a minute in each of the first parts and then a couple of minutes in the actual split. If it's a balance like this, if you're more in an upright position in a yin class, I recommend keeping the eyes open. I recommend closing them when you can close them because it does help tune in and focus the mind, connecting mind and body, meaning it's just putting you more in touch with sensations. But every now and then in a posture like this, you want to keep the eyes open just so you don't topple over. Feels great. Really nice stretch on the front of the back thigh, particularly quite a deep muscle called the psoas muscle, spelled P-S-O-A-S, psoas, deeply rooted muscle connecting the leg bone to the backbone. From there, let's bring the hands down, shift away from that front foot so that now you're feeling the muscle in the back of the other leg. Very different on the two sides, you will notice that. As in your body will be different on the two sides as well. We're nearly all like that. Not as symmetrical as we might like to think we are, and perhaps that's not important. If you do find there's a big difference on the two sides of the body, I recommend spending longer on the tighter side and always trying to be consistent and keep within the limits of the tighter side in the beginning at least. Wait until the tighter side catches up as much as it is going to catch up, rather than continually going further on the looser side, which is making the imbalance bigger if you think about it. Okay, so from there, the split. So let's go back to the lunge. I just manually lift that front foot slightly further forwards. Remember the process for the back leg is to tuck the toes, lift the knee, place it a little bit further back, tuck the toes again, a little bit further back. Do that as many times as you want. Find the position that you feel comfortable holding, that you can hold without strain, without pain. A little back from edge. And because this one is nice and grounded, your hands are on the floor, not bearing down, but your hands are just keeping you balanced, you can close your eyes. So I'm going to do that as well. Front foot, I was asked in the class today, it doesn't matter whether the toes are pointing up or your foot is completely flat. For me, the toes point upwards in this particular shape. That's an individual thing. Whatever feels comfortable on your front foot. Okay, to come out of this one, tuck the toes at the back, shuffle that knee a little bit closer, tuck the toes again, a little bit closer still, keep shuffling until you are close enough that you can easily come out of that posture and fold. Now what we're going to do next is go straight into a back bend. So we're going to go onto the front of the body, first of all propped up on the elbows, which is called the Sphinx. Remember that if this is too strong, you could take the elbows a little bit further out in front. If it is easy and you want to progress this, today we're just going to focus on the front half of the body. So if you wanted to lift your elbows, I'd wait about a minute just for the spine to settle into this back bend, this extension. And then when you're ready, take the hands a little bit further forwards and experiment with lifting the elbows off the ground. Remember, without pain, don't force it, just see how it feels. If it feels good, you're on the right track. If it doesn't, ease off a little. To progress it even further, each time come down to the elbows, shift the hands a little bit closer towards the body, and try lifting the elbows again. Try lifting them together, try not to do it one at a time because that twists the spine. You can do that as often as you like, bringing the hands as close to the body as you wish, keeping the shoulders nice and flat, arms as straight as possible, and just feel that beautiful squeeze on the lower back in particular. I'm going to stay here. This is a version of the Cobra or Bhujangasana in Sanskrit. Some of you are in the Sphinx on the elbows, and that is absolutely fine. If it all gets a bit too much, just roll out of whatever posture you're in and just lie on your front for a few moments. But let's see if we can hold this for just that little bit longer. And then from there, carefully and slowly, we're going to peel down. Take your time, so you can feel the body unrolling back down to the floor. Turn the head to one side, take a few breaths. Wait for as long as you need to, as long as you like. And then when you're ready, we're going to come into a form of child's pose, whatever form you would like to do. Child's pose, you could have the knees apart, you could stretch the arms out in front, just let the head rest on the ground. You could have the knees together and you could rest your head on your fists like so. You could let the head come all the way to the ground and have the hands down beside you. Some of you might have props like a yoga bolster, and if you've got one of those, perhaps the knees apart, just resting your body across with the head turned to one side. And we're just going to relax here for a little while. Just let the body stretch back in the opposite direction. Having squeezed the spine in one direction, let's just let it stretch in the opposite direction. So enjoy. And then when you're ready, we're going to slowly make our way up out of that posture. And that is our Yin practice today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.